9:30 Eastern Time, but a live look here in Ojai, California. Little foggy day, courtesy of EarthCam. California Mexican restaurant chain Rubio's Coastal Grill, we're learning, is planning to close nearly 50 restaurants in the Golden State, citing rising business cost. The decision comes just 2 months after California implemented a $20 an hour minimum wage for fast food employees.
Lots going on with these restaurants across the country. Let's talk the economy. Let's bring in Stephen Moore. He's the former senior economic advisor to President Trump. And David Hebert is the economist with the American Institute for Economic Research. Thank you both for being here. We appreciate it. Stephen, what do you make of the news here? California's fast food. Is this the minimum wage? Is it killing these restaurants, or what do you make of the situation?
Well, this is a teachable moment for the American people and the American politicians. Economists have always known that raising the minimum wage is a terrible policy. It costs jobs. It puts people out of work, and it hurts the people at the bottom because they're the ones who are most likely to have the least skills and the first people who are laid off. And boy, have we learned this in spades of what's happening in California, where so many of these fast food restaurants are closing down. They can't afford to pay the $20. And who are the victims? Well, the consumers, but also these workers who are being laid off. Terrible story.
Yeah, so true. And yet Mark Cuban has a different perspective. Wanted to share what he posted on X, and then David will get your thoughts, saying, I can't tell you what the equilibrium is for a minimum wage for any given state. What I can tell you is when companies pay less than what someone needs to live a basic life, it's often the taxpayers that subsidize the difference. Going on to say, do you really want to subsidize with your tax dollars any employer? Personally, as an employer, I would rather pay a higher wage and figure out how to be more productive and profitable to balance it out. David, your thoughts on what Mr. Cuban has to say?
It's an interesting take, too.
Yeah, Mr. Cuban should be lauded for paying his workers more money when he's able to. The unfortunate reality is that if workers want to be paid more money, they have to also be more productive. It's easy to imagine making a worker more productive in many of Mark Cuban's businesses that he owns and operates. However, in the service industry like a restaurant, it's not like we can put, faster sneakers on the servers to have them serve more tables more quickly. It's difficult to get that increased productivity that justifies the higher wage. Couple this with declining restaurant attendance since the pandemic, and you have a recipe for an economic disaster.
That's a good point. Let's go to the airline industry. This one here, lots of fights and over unions, but the labor union here that represents American Airlines, their flight attendants on Wednesday, they rejected a company proposal to immediately raise pay by 17%. Stephen, we've seen these union battles play out, but what's the difference here? 17% seems like a pretty big, nice pay hike, you would think.
Except that we have high inflation right now. Anytime you get these periods of high inflation, you have a lot of labor unrest where workers, lock themselves in, especially union workers, these longer term contracts, and then they get screwed because the prices rise. So this is exactly what happened in the late 70s when Jimmy Carter was president. And all of a sudden, prices were rising so high, workers who thought they were getting nice pay raises didn't get them because the inflation eroded away the increases. I think that's exactly what you're seeing here.
David, any chance we see these flight attendants go on strike?
Oh, I don't know. I think the jury's still out on that one. It's certainly true that flight attendants want higher wages and more job security. But what will happen with the future is tough to tell.
Yeah.
That could mean higher ticket prices, though.
Oh, my goodness. Keep adding up the costs. And also when you've got all the delays and the issues with planes, pieces falling apart. Either way, we hope everyone gets to their destination.
Settle that lawsuit,
yes.
Or that dispute, I should say.
Okay, Stephen and David, thanks so much for coming on today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.